Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny and today I am going to be sharing with you one of my all-time favorite gardening tricks that is going to give you instant impact in your garden with beautiful flowers with minimal effort from you. So what am I talking about? Well, back here you will see that I have 4 hanging baskets that are placed in the garden. What I'm going to do is actually plant them into the landscape, and they are going to give me again that big, huge, instant impact of beautiful flowers that will give me gorgeous color from now all the way to a hard freeze. So let's get a little closer and I want to show you exactly what we're going to be doing today. Here we are in the flower bed directly behind the seating wall of the patio. We were just here last week when I was installing some irrigation with those double play doozy spireas, and I told you that I gave myself a little extra wiggle room in case I got a wild hair and wanted to plant some hanging baskets. Well, guess what? Jenny got a wild hair. So that is what we're going to do today. We're going to plant. These are the Proven Winners Supertunia Mini Vista white hanging baskets. I love these plants. They are just a gorgeous, pure white bloom on them. Obviously, they are in a hanging basket. That is going to be our little trick that I'm going to show you today. And I'm going to use this Mini Vista white in multiple applications in the garden. So that is another little gardening trick for you. So my second little tip for you when you're planning out your garden is to reuse the same plant in multiple locations of your garden. So right in front of me is where the hanging baskets are going to go into the landscape. And then behind me, let's see if we can get a little picture here of it. There we go. In the hanging baskets, these are the 2 hanging baskets that I created in the greenhouse, gosh, was it a month or so ago? And then I put them in the greenhouse and let them flush out and grow. So they have now been graduated to the back porch, but the Mini Vista white is in that hanging basket along with some other plants. Not only will they be in these hanging baskets and the landscape in front of me, but on this wall back here, we're going to plant some grande containers directly into the landscape. So I'm going to have them along both this wall and then the other wall. So here I am using that same plant in different locations of the garden, and that is what really kind of like ties your whole garden in together, and it flows. Not that you have to use only the same plants over and over again, but if you can pick just maybe a handful of those same plants and use them in different areas so that when you are looking at your garden, people are coming through, there is that continuity and that same kind of theme going through your garden. I'm telling you, it's some of those little subtle differences that makes a huge impact. I really realized this when we visited 4-star display gardens back in the summer, because talking with Ian, who is the gardener who designs and maintains the display gardens, he has a handful of plants that he uses in that display garden. Different applications in multiple locations, but it gives that same continuity and that cohesiveness to your garden. So without further ado, we are going to plant some hanging baskets into the landscape, and I'm going to show you exactly how we do it. It is so easy. Okay, so what you see here is my first hanging basket, and I've got a couple of we've got to figure out, remember, where the irrigation is so that I can appropriately plant these babies. Of course, I can pull it down if I need to, but look at there, it's right here. So the irrigation tubing is right here because I knew that it went between these spireas. So I'm going to move my mulch out of the way because I'm very particular. I do not want soil to be on my fresh mulch. I want it to be nice and clean looking and very happy, so that way when we get done, it looks like these plants were just really like plopped down in here with no soil showing. So there we go. We've got our hole from the mulch So it is available. Now, what we're gonna do next is probably just go ahead and I'm gonna get my auger and we're gonna aug this hole. I'm gonna show you exactly how I plant this first one, and then we will go do the other 3, and then we're gonna head over to the nursery and we're going to plant some bubblegums in the landscape over there, because man, those bubblegums make such a huge impact over at the nursery. So grab my auger and we're gonna dig some holes. All right, so here I have my auger and we're just going to get these holes dug. I have had a couple of questions about the auger. One, you will notice the hot pink tape. That is, no, it's not broken. It is to designate that this is Jenny's auger and handle, and that it belongs at the house and stays at the house because of the nursery, of us doing landscape jobs for our customers. We do have a couple of these augers and drills. And yeah, I don't like it when my stuff goes missing and I'm trying to do a project. So this was bought specifically to stay at the house. I have designated it. I have marked my territory. This is about the drill itself, the auger itself rather, is perfect for 1 gallons. And I have found with our clay soil that I really like using it on hanging baskets and grandes and 1 gallons. So what I do is, obviously it's not big enough for this hanging basket hole. So what I do is I just work it really well to widen up my hole. Makes it simple. Okay, so at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna simply take apart the hanging basket. Now, if you have some wire cutters, you certainly could just clip and take off, you know, snip the wires and everything. But it's really easy just to go in here and untwist and then pull out the wires. So that's what you're gonna do first. So the hanger is off, toss it over there. Now, what I tell people is to take your hanging basket in your hand and you're gonna make like a claw and you're going to wiggle your hand down in there until just your fingertips are on the contact with the soil. Flip it over, wiggle the pot off, right? We'll let Brenna play with that. There you go. And then it'll have, sometimes your hanging baskets will have the saucer, so that's what this one has. So make sure if it does have it attached that you want that off, right? So there we go. We take that. She's happy with that container. You will see that the root system is very strong, very vigorous. We're just gonna lightly, gently come in here, break it up. This is why hanging baskets typically will not last all season in a hanging basket. If it's a small hanging basket, that's a 10-inch, because the root system is so vigorous. Then we simply just take out the soil, move it back a little bit. The hanging baskets are typically not very deep, but they are a little bit wide. And then we plop it in, just like that. Voila! Now, I do have people ask me quite frequently, you know, why don't I use, or I didn't use biotone on my annuals. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Now with these petunias, I know their habit, their growth pattern, and they are very strong. They are very happy. Will it hurt to use biotone with them? Absolutely not. You could totally do that. It really comes down to a preference. I just look at it and I go, you know, I just don't really think they need it. So that's just my opinion. Certainly you can do whatever you want to do. Now, I have in the past used it with annuals. So again, very few hard, fast rules in gardening. This is one of them. I have my time release, Proven Winners fertilizer. Sprinkle it around. Now, petunias are extremely heavy feeders. You have got to feed your plants. If you do not feed them, they are not going to produce for you like they should. Remember, food equals flowers. So feed your plants, people. I am going to go ahead and also use a little bit of Land and Sea to top dress around here. This soil, particularly down here, has not really been amended. Not nearly like what the other places have. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little top dress and then put my mulch back. And it's as easy as that. And you've got this beautiful plant right there in your garden that is going to give you months and months of enjoyment. Ta-da! We have got a beautiful plant in here, gorgeous. Looks like it's been here forever. You would never know it was just planted. I love the mini Vistas because they are vigorous, but they're not as vigorous as your Vistas. Now, could I have put Snowdrift in here? Absolutely. But Snowdrift definitely, and it depends on the look you want, right? So there's not a right or a wrong, especially in this kind of application. Snowdrift would really get nice and big. My mini Vista is going to be a little bit more tight and give me a little bit more room, but it's going to look great. My double play doozies have buds on them, and I actually saw my first buds on my incredible hydrangeas. So this space is going to be spectacular in the coming weeks. Now, 3 more to go. Okay friends, we have got all 4 of the hanging baskets into the landscape and it is looking glorious. As the season progresses, it will just get prettier and prettier. So what we're going to do is we are going to head over to the nursery, and I want to show you, we're going to do a couple of bubblegums in the landscape, and it is going to be spectacular. Before we go though, Jackson's on the bobcat, so in case you hear something, that's just Jackson. I want to give you an update on this little bed right here that we just did last week, so let me show you that real quick. Just to give you a quick little update here, there's so much going on, y'all. It is beginning of May. Things are popping out all over the place here, and it's so exciting. If you will remember, I planted this bed fall, late summer, can't remember. So I've got the Nicotina plants back here that actually came back for me. Technically, they're supposed to be an annual, but because they are in the hottest part of my yard, they came back. Super excited about that. I've got some daisy maize right here, desert plains grass, and then I've got 4 Scentlandias across the back that are exploding in buds. And speaking of buds, look at these daisy maize. They are absolutely covered in buds. They are going to be gorgeous when they bloom. I cannot wait to see that. And then right off to that, right here is the flower bed that we just planted, the Diamond Snow and the Bright Lights Horizon Sunset Osteospermums, African daisies. Everybody's doing great. Diamond Snows are growing, Bright Lights are growing, and look, the roses are blooming. So here we have Desdemona, who got moved this year, hence why she's a little bit on the smaller side as compared to Emily Bronte, who is just showing off in all of her beautiful glory. I mean, I know that there's really not such thing as perfection, at least on this side of heaven, but if that's not close to flower perfection, I just don't know what is. Oh, it just makes my heart happy to see how beautiful these plants are. And I did get asked a lot about what this tree is. That is a Blue Chiffon Rose of Sharon Standard. So everybody is doing great, as is the succulent planter that has all of the Semperviums in it. Oh look, I have a little friend. Can you see my little friend? He loves to hang out in this little spot. Sweet little fella. I say, well, it is a boy because he'll throw out his throat and call out his female friends. So we'll just let him be. But look at these guys. They have gotten such beautiful color on them since being out here in the sun and just really doing well. Super excited with how this thing is performing. I just splash a little water on it every couple of days and there you go. All right, let's head over to the barn. Okay friends, so here we are at the nursery and I am going to be installing 9 bubblegum hanging baskets into the landscape here at the flower bed between the greenhouse and the barn. Again, this is a retail space, so we have lots of big flower power here. This particular section is always a huge piece of talking point when folks come to see us because it does make a huge, gorgeous impact. So I'm going to do exactly what I did with the Supertunia Mini Vista Whites, except that there's a couple of differences. So it's the exact same, but it's different. There is no irrigation on this bed. So any water that needs to be applied to these hanging baskets will be hand watered or rain. And then I am not gonna apply any land and seed because we have amended these beds multiple times, especially in this area. So there's really no need to do it. But I do have my Proven Winners time release fertilizer that I will add. So I'm gonna aug the holes, take apart the hanging baskets, plant them, add the slow release and put the mulch and the soil back and move on down the line. So it's just going to be an assembly line that I'm going to do for those 9 hanging baskets. When I chose my outfit today, this morning, it was, you know, still really early and cool, and so I was like, oh, I'll put this little thin sweater on. Yeah, I am dying right now because it is really toasty. So if you see me glistening, it's just, you know, real gardening around here. So without further ado, and with the magic of television, we're gonna get these things planted in the ground lickety split. Alrighty, my friends, the 9 bubblegum hanging baskets are planted, and I'm not gonna lie, that did me in jeans and a sweater today. Britt and I are hot, but the things we do for gardening, right? In a beautiful garden it is. Now, right now they may look a little flat because I did go ahead and water them, and they are huge hanging baskets. There were 3 bubblegum liners in there. So this is a Supertunia Vista Bubblegum. In my opinion, it's probably the most vigorous petunia out there on the market. It is perfect for applications like this because it is super vigorous. It does wonderful in the landscape. This area is considered full sun because it gets at least a minimum of 6 hours of sun. And so you need that sun in order to produce your flowers. Also, when I planted them, of course, I used my slow release fertilizer. Food equals flowers, people. If you don't feed your especially your flowering annuals, then your blooms are going to suffer. The regimen that we will keep with these is that we will keep them watered. Again, it's not on irrigation. We have had no significant rain to speak of within the last, I would say, 2 weeks or more. So I definitely am going to have to keep these watered. Once they get established, they're a little bit more drought tolerant and forgiving, and then we will feed them. We will use that Proven Winners water soluble fertilizer on them because it makes a huge difference. Hummingbird just flew past me, got buzzed by a hummer. So when you're choosing your liquid fertilizer, your fertilizers, your soils, everything in general, quality does matter, folks. I know this is not like a sales gimmick. This is one gardener talking to another gardener, just encouraging you to find the best product out there and use that with your garden because you get what you pay for. If you buy a $3 bag of soil, potting soil at a discount place, guess what? That's what you're going to get. You're going to get discount quality on your plants. Same thing with your fertilizers. If you don't use a high quality fertilizer, then you're going to suffer. There are several of them out there. We of course use Proven Winners because that's just what we have found that works really, really well with our plants. And so, off my soapbox for a little bit, 9 bubblegums planted, 4 mini Vista whites planted at the house. It's going to be gorgeous. Of course, we'll keep you updated on all this as the season progresses. As always, thanks for gardening with Creekside. Use those hanging baskets in the landscape. It works amazingly well and gives you fantastic instant results. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends.